But makes you feel very superior. But makes you feel in control. What I learned over time, though, was that but wasn't actually opening up conversations, but was shutting them down. But dismisses ideas. When somebody comes up to you and shares their latest wisdom with you, what is your immediate response? Yeah, that's a good idea. But hasn't it been done already? That's a really good idea. But in this economy? That's a really good idea. But how are you going to do that? Immediately, the person is on the defensive. Immediately, the person is having to justify their idea rather than explore it, rather than expand it, rather than use your experience to help them be better. And I started wondering whether or not it wouldn't be more effective to switch but with and. It's a small switching of a conjunction. That's an interesting idea. And how are you going to differentiate them? That's an interesting idea. And how are you going to navigate what's really quite a tough economy? That's an interesting idea. And how are you going to build a team to help you deliver that idea? Immediately, you're still challenging the idea without dismissing it. And this isn't just some quirky little communication tool. It's actually a fundamental life skill that is how leaders face huge complexity, how they reframe problems, and how they challenge the great difficulties that they face in the world to help them to lead better. Imagine a conversation. Mark was showing off Steve Jobs earlier. Imagine a conversation where Steve Jobs walks into a room and he sees his chief engineer. And he says to his chief engineer, you remember last week when I said to you we were going to create this new device? Oh, yeah, a phone. No, it's not a phone. We're taking away the buttons. Remember, we're taking away the buttons. Yes, we're taking away the buttons. And we're going to make it a big screen. Yeah, I remember that. That's very good. All right. Now, when we chatted about it, you said you had this new polymer that you were going to put on it, and it was quite clear, it was pretty good, a little bit laggy, but nobody would notice because this is such an innovative idea. Well, I've been thinking, it needs to be glass. And imagine that moment where the chief engineer would have looked at Steve Jobs and quite legitimately have said, but that's impossible, because that did not exist yet. Instead, he went, yeah, okay, and how can I make it work? Because had he not done that, there were two possible outcomes. Steve Jobs could and probably would have gone and found a new chief engineer. Alternatively, he would have gone, yeah, you're the expert. Okay, fine, don't worry, we'll think of something else. Instead, he took the and principle, and he looked for collaborators. He looked for people who could help him do it, and found Corning. Corning were making glass for the aerospace industry. They also made the pots that your grandparents used, and your parents, and maybe if you're lucky enough, you inherited some of those pots, and you still use them to this day. They are brilliant. And they invented Gorilla Glass. And the rest is history. You see, when I wrote my book, The One Thing, it came home to me so very, very clearly. I approached more than 100 leaders, and I said to them, if you could do just one thing to change the future of the country that you could implement tomorrow that would have a catalytic impact on the future, what would it be? Give me 500 words within 2 weeks. And more than 100 of them came back and did, and we compiled the book, The One Thing. Reviews were great. Then came the social media feedback. Yeah, but surely it's been done before. Yeah, but it's complicated. Yeah, but, yes, but, everywhere. And here's the thing about but. But's a roadblock. And it doesn't only limit their idea, it restricts your own thinking. If all you are doing is depending on your own experience, your own hardships, your own scars, your own emotional and physical pain of your experiences so far, there is no way that you will ever learn anything new. So next time you wake up in the middle of the night and you have this great idea and you roll over and write it on that pad, which I'm sure you keep next to your bed, you psycho. You wake up in the morning, you go, oh, yeah, great idea, but busy, yeah, but complicated, yeah, but. Stop butting. Butt out. Just try and. Because and is additive. and is collaborative, and is the difference between why something won't work and how to make it work.